It's a summer weekend, so I'm on the casual side, but I am preparing seriously for a conference with you, the parents of 2026 grads, rising sophomores. And your situation is more complex than any time in the 20 years that I can remember. It's not a bad complexity, but I want to make sure that you navigate it well. So the class of 2025, the rising juniors, the ambitions ones are going to be facing an entrance test and using 1, 2, or even 3 formats of it. They might be taking the ACT format. They might be taking the SAT current format. They might be taking the SAT when it changes format to a digital test that starts in March of 2024. Your students, class of 2026, have the same options for the rest of this year. Realistically, that means prepping this summer for testing in August, October, November, maybe December. Then you lose one of those options, the digital test will take over for the SAT. The ACT is almost certain to stay the same for at least a year. They're going to stay with their paper tried and true testing. We have a slight push for our 2026s to be testing on all 3 formats. Slight, because it's certainly overridable if A, your student is going to give you guff every single week of the summer. I don't want to be doing this. Why am I doing this and not many of my friends are doing this? Now, please remember, some of her friends are doing this, but they just don't like to talk about it. Among our clients, probably 15% will do some of their SAT or ACT prep the summer before sophomore year. And it's very advantageous if you got a mature kid willing to dig in and do it well. The advantage is you could be done this summer. You don't have to worry about it for the following summer or the summer after that or any school months in between, because colleges have always been animated by the best score whenever it's been taken. Now, there was one exception, and it did happen during the format change in 2016 on the SAT. Remember, ACT hasn't format changed in a long, long time. So in 2016, everyone who had taken the test before the change was fine if it was a year earlier. If a year after that, and we were 2 years out, the kids who had taken the SAT in the old format didn't switch to the new, were still fine except for a few universities, okay? They wanted the current format. They wanted more standardization in their selection. Those universities didn't include a single private school among the top 25. They were exclusively lower ranked schools or fairly high state universities that were standardizing. Okay? For the upcoming change, I expect the same or better for your kids. And I expect that because of test optional. That colleges across the board have said, we want to show you, or we want you to show us the scores that will impress, and we colleges don't care when they were taken. Now, will they care what format it was taken in? I highly doubt it, because it was so few the last time round, and because students have shown their ability on a standardized test. Indeed, it's the more reliable standardized test. The one that the SAT has been giving for the last 7 years is more trustworthy than the semi-experimental one that not as many kids will be taking in 2024. Not as reliable as the tried and true ACT that many kids have been taking in that format for over 20 years. So where does that leave your student? If your student is ambitious, wants to do almost everything possible to seal the best testing credentials. I encourage the early study and maybe finishing, that you wouldn't have to take it in 2024 or 2025. Okay, you'll always have that option if the scores aren't great, but if by the end of 2023 you pop a great score, which kids are eminently capable of, you don't need to be an upperclassman to have been introduced to the skills that are on ACT and SAT math. There's a little bit of trigonometry. We can introduce that to your kids if they haven't been shown that yet. English skills, they're given in 5th, 6th, 7th grade. Okay, your kids are going to hone them, but there's nothing that you need to wait for in the high school 10th grade curriculum. So, especially if your child has a lot going on next summer, but not as much this summer. A lot of kids can't work. They don't have a car yet. So come age 16, they might be a lot busier than they are now. This might be a very good time to do the study, ACT, SAT, or both. Be at the same time pretty ramped up if they want to take the digital SAT a year later, but maybe won't have to. I'll look forward to seeing some of you on the conference. For the rest of you, thanks for listening here.